Locke and Marx agree that what makes something valuable, what makes something an important economic worth, is the energy invested in it by the individual. From there on out, they pretty much disagree. Locke says that initially, everything is owned in common, that the goods of the common, animals, plants, space, dirt, so forth and so on, that those goods are in and of themselves everybody's to use, everybody's to hold, everybody's to own. Something becomes private property when I invest my energy in it. When I take this tree that has been here for everybody to use, not in any way private, everybody to use, I take that tree, I make it into planks, build it into a house. I chop it up into pieces and make it into paper. I carve it into a beautiful sculpture. My effort gives it more value. It takes it from being something that belongs to all of us in common, makes it into something that belongs to me uniquely. As such, I have increased its economic worth. Therefore, I have increased my personal economic worth. You want this thing, which started from something we all held in common. Yes. But it was my building, my efforts, my arts, my talents, my skills that made it into something other than just a hunk of wood standing in the ground. Thus, I am entitled to the value of that work. So what you're paying for when you buy something is the value of someone's work. What worries Marx is when that activity, that taking the commons and making it into something private, when that activity is a natural expression of being human, the effort of a craftsman or an artist, somebody who likes to grow, somebody who enjoys gathering, this natural expression of your humanity, that's great. Because, again, we're paying for the work you put into it, but the work you put into it was work that you wanted to do. Mark Twain defined work as something a body is obliged to do, something you have to do. The old saw about find a job you like and you'll never work a day in your life. Because it isn't work. It's a natural expression of yourself. So you are a barrel maker because you like it. You like working with the wood. You like getting it to curve. Little barrels, big barrels. You like making harnesses. You enjoy planting and growing and farming, and maybe the gathering it in isn't all that great, but you know it's part of the natural course of what you have to do, so you do it. And it's an expression of who you are. What worries Marx, and let's be fair to Marx, he's coming along roughly 100, 150 years later. What worries Marx is when we take that natural expression of myself and reward that, as we should, because I have done something to make something more valuable, more useful, more attractive, whatever. But I've done that because it's what I like to do. I'm here talking to you. Well, I'm not talking to you, I'm making a video. But if I were actually talking to you, then I do that because I like talking to you. I like talking about this subject matter. I like talking about this whole philosophical enterprise. It's just natural to me. And I should get rewarded for it because it is a natural expression that I hope enriches your life. I hope helps you understand what it is to be human a little better, what it is to live in this world, how to have a better life in this world. But as Al Bundy says, nobody ever wanted to grow up to be a shoe salesman. Yeah, he may be wrong about that. But nobody could ever say it was a natural expression of their innermost self. Making shoes might be. Selling the shoes you made might be. But to make a living out of selling shoes or making shoes on a machine, because again, how is that a natural expression of anything? At least what most people mean by natural. The idea that it's an extension of something you can normally do, that you've been doing for fun, and now you found a way to do it for money. It's not. I mean, nobody has a shoe making machine at home that they messed around with ever since they were a small boy. Why, I've been making shoes. We take what was a natural expression of human energy and make it into a commodity. We make that natural human energy into something to be bought and sold. Not a thing. We were talking about a tree that we carved into, made into a dollhouse. That is just a natural expression. You go, oh, I love making dollhouses. I make dollhouses all day if I could. Yeah. So that's an expression of who you are. It is no chore. You're not selling your work. You're selling the results of your work. Yes, the results of your work made it worth the selling, but you're not selling yourself. You're selling your product. What worries Marx is that we become the commodity ourselves. It is our labor that we are selling instead of the product of our labor. And this he finds a violation of what it is to be human. This is what he calls alienation of labor. In Locke's slightly definitely pre-industrial, somewhat pre-capitalistic view, all I'm doing is expressing myself. I'm doing what I've always done. I take on an apprentice. My apprentice, hopefully, is becoming an apprentice because he has a skill for what I'm doing. He has an interest in what I'm doing. So I have been a blacksmith. He will be a blacksmith. Maybe it's my kid. Maybe it's not. The apprentice system didn't require that. All it required is an interest and I'm willing to pay for it. But still, it was a system whereby one taught one. We all grew together. It was an outcome, an outpouring of your skills and talents, not a case where your labors were being taken away from you. Instead, your labor was being expressed in terms of your creations, and your creations were what you sold. Marx takes a look at the post-industrial world or the post-industrial revolutionary world, the period where instead of being paid for your product, you're paid for your labor. Especially by the time we reach the beginning of the 20th century and the assembly line approach, nobody builds a whole car from scratch. Each person adds one piece or maybe two, gears things up, evens things out. There's a different person for every step along the way. You're making something in plastic. Well, look, you didn't drill the oil well. You didn't bring the oil to the factory. None of the purifications and processings of the oil to get it into a plastic format. None of that you had anything to do with. All you did was pumped a little, you pulled the lever back and it filled a mold, and you pulled the lever back and it filled a mold, and you pulled the lever back and it filled a mold, and that's not a natural expression of anything. All you're selling is your ability to pull a lever and fill a mold. This is not an expression of who you are. This is not even your product. It's a product of the group. So your labor is what you're selling. A piece of yourself is what you're selling. And this is what Marx objects to. It's why he advocates for the laborers owning the factory. Because then, if we're all going to be working on this together, if it belongs to all of us together, then I'm not selling my labor. I'm lending my help to a project that we're all working on. And then it's our product that goes out, and I can say that's my product because I'm part of the team that actually made that product. It was made because we wanted to make it the way we wanted to make it. And thus we have resolved the alienation problem. We've also done away, at least at the business level, the company level, we've done away with private property. And that is what people object to. Locke's defense of private property turned on my personal expression. Marx's attack on private property turns on my personal self-expression. Something to think about, something to talk about. Keep on talking philosophy.